Okay, here I am doing a video in a kind of an odd spot. This is my sister-in-law's backyard. I kind of impromptu set things up and got the camera a little low, and that makes it so that the perspective's a little strange. I might fix it in a little bit. But we're visiting family. This is the desert of Southern California, a little high elevation, so it's been oh my, gonna have to compete with the neighbor making noise. But it's actually getting down and below freezing at night some of the time. And I'm just kind of outside while other things are going on. Okay, this isn't working. Anyway, let me see if I can make the video anyway and deal with the idea that things are changing, with the neighbor is working on some kind of project outside. Anyway, what's prompted me is I was, been kind of delaying making videos lately because I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. I mean, a few weeks ago I had to make a emergency car trip because my mother was sick, and that kind of threw kinks into it. And I thought about, what kind of realities are when you're an RVer, when you're dealing with stuff you don't expect, including noisy neighbors. Anyway, but this morning I got to watch a couple videos, and one new video was made an offhand comment. I think it was Chris and G Travels, basically saying, you gotta get out there because, somebody might get sick. I mean, he knew there was a couple people who were gotten sick, and so they didn't realize their dream. And then I got to watch another video where Happily Houseless has got a tumor in his brain, and he's already been on the road. He and his girlfriend were out on their own, and suddenly he's going to have surgery in just a few days to take a tumor out of his brain. It's very dangerous. Luckily, he's actually in the RV, so they got a small space. In recovery times, you'd think the small space would be worse, but small space can actually be better. A friend recovered from cancer surgery in his RV and said that it was such a short distance to anything that he could handle a lot of things he could not have handled in the house. There was no stairs inside. It's all a very small spot space. Couldn't go out and do anything, but he wasn't going to be able to in a house anyway. But I kind of wanted to prompt the talk about the idea that when things happen, people die, people get sick, and sometimes the people who are actually RVing are the ones who die or get sick, and you've got to deal with the consequences. You also have issues. Right now, my sister-in-law is off at the vet with a cat that's suddenly limping around and being in excruciating pain. I think it's somehow dislocated his shoulder, but they don't know yet. That's happening as I was already planning on making this video. And there it is, already happening. Something unexpected. And I realized that, people are asking me, what do you do when something's unexpected? And I thought about it a while. I said, what do you do when you're living in a normal existence and something unexpected happens? I think it takes you by surprise a lot more when you're living in a house. In a house you've got, or apartment or condo or whatever, you know where everything is. You're in a stable environment. You know your commute to a store. You know if you run out of cinnamon, just to say something odd that's in people's, you probably know exactly which aisle and where in the grocery store to buy it. When you're on the road, all these things are mysteries. When you're on the road and you need a veterinarian or medical attention, or you need to go to a store to buy something, it's often a surprise or a mystery of where that spot is. And that causes a lot of people grief, so they start thinking about a lot of the what ifs. Oh, what if somebody's got sick? What if somebody dies? What if I have to take a trip because my grandson's about to graduate from high school, or was going to join the military and I've got last time I'll see him before he's shipped out, or something major like that. But those things most of those things happen when you're living in a house. But you get complacent living in a house. So you're So that those are complete shocks to you, because you've got so much that's not changing around you. So much that's just normal, that when something unexpected happens, it surprises you, and you really probably weren't even thinking about it, because you're complacent, you've got so much normalcy to your life that it's a surprise. When you're RVing, there's a lot of you kind of embrace the bits of normalcy, like I know where my clothes are, I know how to cook something in my kitchen, but I look outside, it might change. The engine breaks, it might change, but we've had, people go, oh, what happens if your heater goes out? I said, we've had the furnace go out in our house. We've had the hot water heater go out in the house. We had the furnace go out on Christmas Eve, and had to pay extra for somebody to fix it, because it was cold. You deal with these issues. We had to have a hot water heater replaced when we started taking showers in the morning, and we ran out of hot water and went to open the garage door up to steam and water all over the floor because the hot water heater had burst. These things happen. Realities, power goes out, realities happen. But I think what happens is people get freaked out about RVing because they see all these changes that are going to happen, and you're going to have all these changes in it. And then they start thinking about the what-ifs. And some of those what-ifs they should be just thinking about anyway. They should be thinking about what happens if somebody's sick and they're across the country. How am I going to get there? They're going to think about what happens if I'm sick. How am I going to do? They're going to think about what happens if their pet's got a problem. They're going to think about what happens if the power goes out. What happens if the engine breaks in their vehicle or their tow vehicle? These things do happen. And do they happen when you're in a house? They happen in your apartment. The perspective is the same. The thing of Happily Houseless, I really feel for him because he's taken a big shock. We've been on the road for 12 years. We've dealt with medical issues. We've dealt with RV issues. We've dealt with family issues. We've had the phone call at 4 in the morning that said that somebody had died that was close to us. We've lost, both my wife and I have lost very close family members while we've been on the road. And you have to cope with that. You roll with it when you see it, when it happens to you. I just wanted to say something. Actually, in an RV, you're used to stuff happening. You're used to having a smaller existence. You are able to make changes somewhat quickly if you have to. I mean, if you've gone into a hell of a lot of debt on the thing, you could put yourself in a bad financial bind if you suddenly you expected to be not having to spend money and suddenly you're spending money. That's another story, but that's a story that can happen to anybody. If you are living paycheck to paycheck in an apartment and suddenly you have to fly back because a family member is sick and they're across the country, you just have to do it. And he said, well, I live close to all my family members. And I said, well, what happens if they're across the country for some other reason? I've had more than one person who's wanted to live close to their family, and then their family has moved away. Maybe not all their family, but I know somebody who moved just down the street from their parents, and then their father took a promotion which transferred him a many-hour drive away so that he could build a better retirement. She was actually unhappy. I mean, she made the point of living close to her parents, and their parents moved away from her. But, he needed, she didn't console with that. And he needed, it increased his retirement income so that they could enjoy themselves more as a retiree. That's probably a really bad aside, but it's a true aside. In reality, things that you think are stable, the people in your life, if every Sunday you go over to your parents' house for dinner and suddenly they move or somebody gets sick, then you lose that. You just have to remember to cherish the memories. But that's the way life goes. I don't want to be morbid, but I think Happily Houseless is going to come out fine because he's very, very athletic. Keeps himself, tries to eat right, is in good shape, way better shape than I am. And so he's probably a best candidate I know to go through surgery and come out of it at the end. I went through surgery and came out of it pretty well some time ago, but it was not that radical a surgery. But I was scared, but I didn't feel like I had a lot of choice. And he's scared, but doesn't feel like he has a lot of choice. And he's got somebody to support him, and a lot of us there care. But you those things happen to your life. You have these horrible things happen. Hopefully when I go back and review this video, the noise of the neighbors is not really bothersome. It didn't get picked up too much by the microphone. I did a little review of it earlier, and it wasn't too bad. You could just hear it in the background. Of course, now, I'm sure that they'll quiet up as soon as I quit doing a video. But thanks. Just a short video, Southern California, but it's cold. Everybody thinks that California is warm, but it's wintertime. And it can get cold, and they can get Arctic blasts, and they can be below freezing in the San Francisco Bay Area. They can be below freezing close to San Francisco City, LA, which is where we are. and you just have to deal with it. If you want to get away from cold weather, you've got to get closer to the equator. Thanks.